Hey, 420 MSP back with Jim Roddy from the RSPA. We're talking dog days this summer. I'm trying to have a little fun, trying to look a little young. So, Jim, welcome back.
Thanks, Harry. Always a pleasure to connect with you.
So, first of all, you have your trade group's annual conference or event coming up. I know these are crazy times, but I think that's late August. Let's start at the high level. What's happening in late August? Then we'll talk about the panel.
Yeah, so first I'll talk, in late August, we are having the RSPA Academy Education Symposium. So it's a continuation of the year-round content that we provide to our members who are VARs, MSPs, software developers in the greater retail space, restaurant, retail, and grocery, and all the sub-verticals that go under that. So August 26th and 27th, we're getting about 20 hours of education together, packing it into a couple days, having some concurrent tracks running. So something, again, a continuation of what we've been doing, educating the channel.
Well, appreciate it. I mean, we're all in this together, doing the best we can, and I really believe in continuing to move forward. You know what I mean? And then next year we'll sort it out. But let's talk about the panel. And thank you, by the way, for inviting me on to the panel. The panel is Cannabis 101, Understanding the Business Opportunity. So who's on the panel?
Good question. So it's you. It's also Dwayne Roebuck from Blue Star, and also Dave Albert, who runs a solution provider. He's a value-added reseller based in the New England area, but he has a cannabis-focused practice in Colorado. And then the moderator is going to be Mike Monticello, who you know as the former chief editor of Business Solutions magazine. He now runs two websites, Zaz, so everything is a service journal.com, and then also a software developer website, DevPro Journal as well. So we're going with the heavy hitters with the cannabis panel for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. So, obviously we've talked, and certainly on this side, about the opportunity for technology professionals. Now, in your case, it tends to be at the end of the supply chain with point of sale in the resellers that implement that solution. That makes sense. But I'm looking at the outline, and here's an interesting thing: the real opportunity for the value add and the dispensaries. Maybe you can speak towards this. We got digital signage, we got point of sale, we got data security, and here's cellular infrastructure. So talk to me. I don't know retail very well.
Yeah, so this isn't your grandfather's retail industry anymore. So for a while, it used to be the cash register industry, right? And so cash registers stood alone, and then they became electronic, and that was some of the advanced systems back in the day. But today, the POS, the point of sale system, is the hub of everything. Then it connects to the network, and you can feed everything from that. You can have analytics. You can tie the network into that. Like you mentioned, digital signage. You can have kiosk solutions so folks can do, self-serve if they want to. You can run the security cameras off of it as well, in terms of just to the point of when somebody is scanning anything or scanning it in, the video camera can log in and it can show, is something being scanned at the right price? Are they pretending to scan it and they move it over? Like, it is now an integrated hub, and there's way more technology now in what was called the traditional point of sale industry, but now it goes way beyond. The POS is more like the heart, where before the POS is really the entire show.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be interesting outside of this panel, but just in general, and maybe we'll wrap on this, I am fascinated at how retail has changed. Now, I am a consumer, so here's what I mean. I have a little market that I like to walk to about a quarter mile away. Don't drive my car, that's my walk, and it's good for the headspace these days to get outside. They have changed, as you well know, this little market. So they have the glass shields up at the checkout. They have the 6-foot distancing floor decals. They have the one-way aisles and so on. I don't know if you want to speak to that, but it's actually really cool. And I think some of that's going to stay around,
100%. And that's part of, in the symposium, we're going to have some conversations about, so what do folks think are going to stay around for the long term? And some of the things that we expect to see are online ordering, right? That was available before, but not a lot of merchants embraced it because not a lot of consumers embraced it. Well, now that there was no option, right, online ordering has gone up significantly, and you think that might decline, as things open back up, but it's going to stay at a higher level certainly than it was before. So online ordering is one. Another one is contactless payments, right? Instead of handing over cash or handing over your credit card or even dipping the credit card or swiping and entering PIN numbers for your debit card, now there's going to be contactless payment where it's just tap and go. Those have been adopted way more frequently, and folks are going to look to do that more often. Yeah, paying on your phone, that folks are familiar with that from a Starbucks perspective, but there's no reason why other merchants can't do that as well. So those are two of the bigger ones. We're also seeing some innovations as well. We have an RSPA member who deals with social distancing, and we just talked to them yesterday, and they said they are crazy busy because they're able to track throughout the store, are people clumping together? And then there's a lot of other things of, new innovations that we see are going to stick around, because even if the vaccine comes out, the fear is going to be lasting for quite a long time. This is something that's going to scar a lot of consumers forever. And if you don't have a retail environment where folks feel comfortable walking in and confident that they're not going to get sick, they're not going to come in. And technology plays a huge role in that, and some of the ones that you mentioned, Harry.
Well, yeah, and I think of myself. So I've worked really hard this year to stay healthy. Okay, I'm not getting any younger. I last year lost some weight, and the only reason that's important is I was a big guy. In fact, I still have big guy shirts. And lost some weight, and I'm healthy. And Jim, when I was heavy, I had trouble breathing. Right? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like going upstairs and stuff. I mean, I did, and maybe a little bit of allergy going on. Point is, in Seattle, where I've spent most of my career, you catch the Seattle winter cold, the Seattle crud. Right? We have this weird combination of moisture, cold, and wind, and I would always get it. And it was like a 3-4 week cold. It was horrible in the winter. I'm really trying to stay healthy, and I appreciate the new precautions, and I want them to stay. Okay, so that I took way too long as usual to get to the point, but I actually want them to stay because you still have the flu, you still have the this, you still have the that. Guys, it's just not that hard to, wipe your hands in the cart and have the screens. And if I can avoid a cold, that's the reset. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to articulate. I've reset my behavior.
No, 100%. You don't want to, and again, especially as you get older, you do not want to engage in high risk behavior. And so anything that's risky is an impediment to you engaging in that. Again, you're talking about from a shopping standpoint. There's a customer experience. You want folks to go into a retail store and really enjoy it, and that's going to make them stay there longer. Well, if you don't see that shield there, you individually are going to be less comfortable in that environment. And you also know from traveling, the example I always use is I was traveling back I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania, so I had to travel cross country in March back from a show in Colorado Springs. It was the first time ever in my decades of traveling that there was a line to wash hands in the men's restrooms at the airport. Now, did I just happen on that week to run into longer lines? No, it's guys were actually starting to wash their hands. So we cannot count on human behavior. We have to have those systems, right, that technology can do, or a lot of our RSPA reseller members are installing those plexiglass shields. Some of our vendor manufacturers are starting to make those as well. We need systems in place to make folks feel more confident to engage with the merchant, and that's going to help boost the economy and get it back going again. If not, you'll stay home. You won't make that quarter-mile walk to that grocery store.
Yeah, I sure think about the number of trips I make and how I make them. So that's exactly true. All right, hey, we're over time. Got to run. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Harry.